I'm Bill Agard, current president of Vintage Trucks of Florida. We're in Leesburg, Florida today, and this is our 4th annual Vintage Trucks of Florida show in association with the ATCA. This is also the first winter national show outside of Macungie in their history, so we're very pleased and proud to have some of their members here. It's been a wonderful event for the last 4 years. The amount of different trucks and vehicles that we've seen over the year have ranged from things that most people don't get a chance to see.
As far as trucks, all kinds of trucks are welcome at these shows. Anything from 1920s Max to hot rods to 4x4s, all trucks are welcome. You know, it's keeping history alive. It's keeping a truck that was just taken out of service and having it and appreciating that way, or restoring it to its original glory.
Stu Paquette is the owner of Paquette's Farmall Museum. This is a world-class museum. He has well over 160 tractors here, all international. You name the age, it's here. There's refrigerators, washer machines, and a lot of other things in these buildings. Along with the tractor pulls that we have going on this year, you'll see a really nice variety of high-end hot rod tractors, if you will. Everybody has a great time. The local chapter is just that, a local chapter. We have about 70 members total. We get together every other month.
Except for the middle of summer when it's just too hot here in Florida to do that. We'll get together, we'll have a lunch, we'll have a meeting, we'll talk about upcoming events, things to participate in, promoting the club to make it grow, reaching out to the people to get new members.
We try to mix it up as far as location is concerned. That way more members get to visit. We've been invited to a lot of different places, SeaWorld to be one. A couple of the trucks that are here today also have been featured in Hollywood production movies. So we're also a source for some people that are looking for trucks. They'll call up and say, hey, do you have somebody that has this for that? And right now, the fire truck that you hear in the background is moving out to go into a parade that will go from here over to Leesburg. We have 2 parades that leave here. One's a tractor parade that heads to Brownwood, part of the village. It's about 9 miles up Highway 44. So we try to expose our presence to as many people as possible. Doesn't have to be loaded up with chrome. It can be as rusty as you want. And we're not overly particular whether it's a factory job or it's just been rotted out somehow. If it's a truck, we enjoy looking at them.
Well, this is a unique truck. It's the boss's latest creation. Now you can see it's one of many, but it's the latest. It's a 1956 Diamond T. It sits on a Freightliner suspension. It has a Peterbilt walk-in bunk, which is a double sleeper, and it has a 3408 V8 Caterpillar in it. It puts out 540 horsepower. Really nice riding truck. You know, back in the day, it didn't, of course, ride on air ride like it is now. So it's a real comfortable truck. It's kind of a small cab, of course, because it used to be a fire truck. But it's definitely roomy when you turn and walk into the sleeper. Other than that, it's a beautiful truck to drive, beautiful truck to look at. A lot of people tend to think it's original. You know, it's not all original. The actual truck cab front end is original Diamond T. It was retired in a scrapyard in New Jersey. My boss saved it, brought it back from New Jersey, and through lengthy construction, you know, put it back together as today's truck, an air ride, big engine, big transmission, good paint job, all that. So it's been revived and reconstructed. It's quite a piece to look at. It turns a lot of heads.
It's a 1953 Ford C500 cab over. The C series means cab over engine. And I bought the truck probably about 14, 15 years ago, and it took me 3 years to build it. And I put it on I found a wrecked Freightliner fire truck chassis, cut the Freightliner in half, and I found a Ford Super Duty, cut that truck in half, and I mated the two frames together. That gives me an 8.3 Cummins for horsepower up front. It's 325 horse, 925 torque. It has an Allison 6-speed automatic transmission in it with 2 overdrives. And I built it as a work truck. I was transporting boats for my boat dealership when I built it. And I built it for fuel economy. I can run fully loaded and get 10 to 12 all day. And 90 miles an hour, the engine turns 2,000 RPM. The sleeper is fully functional. It has a couch in the back in the couch mode now. The couch folds out to a bed. I have a Honda generator mounted in the frame. It runs my AC and my heat when I'm in the sleeper. So it's a fully functional work truck. Commercial truck, has DOT numbers on it. It just turned 300,000 miles on it. There's a website for these old COE trucks, and I'm the only one I know of that works the truck. They're all toys, but I built it as a work truck because I just love old stuff. I love old cars, old trucks, and when I went out and priced new trucks, I said, well, I can build a truck cheaper than that. And everybody likes it but DOT. DOT gives me a fit when I pull in because it's just so old, they just don't know what to do with it.
That's funny.
But it's got all the amenities, you know, it's got power windows and power seats and cruise and air conditioning and just I made it fully functional as an everyday driver. And in most shows that I go to, they're shocked when I tell them it's a work truck. They can't believe I'm working it, you know, that it's an everyday work truck. And it earns its keep is what I like to say. Yeah, it's a toy, but it also earns its keep. I nicknamed it Big Blue. On the CB, I call it Big Blue, but on the back of it, you'll see on the back of it, I named it in memory of Johnny Cash, in honor of Johnny Cash. I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, and I actually built the truck one piece at a time, kind of like the song he sung about the Cadillac where he worked for General Motors and he stole the Cadillac one piece at a time. But it's got multiple pieces on it. The cab was a farm delivery truck. The sleeper is off a mid-70s Western Star. The bed is off of a mechanic's truck. And of course, the engine transmission came from Canada. And it's got Johnson Evinrude parts, Mercury parts, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen. I've got parts, of course, Mercury, Chevy. What else? Of course, Freightliner, the engine and the front frame's Freightliner. And I just put all these pieces together and I built it one piece at a time. And it was funny because as I was building it, my friends would stop by my boat shop and they'd see it in pieces and they'd laugh and they'd say, Wayne, you're building that thing one piece at a time, not knowing about the song about Johnny Cash. So that's why I named it in his honor. I did get to meet Johnny Cash's brother, Tommy Cash, and I showed it to him and I wanted to let him see it that I did it in his honor. And he was happy. He signed the glove box for me and he said, Johnny would be proud of the truck, yeah.
It's a 1937 Chevrolet ton-and-a-half truck. It does not have the original engine. It came with a 216 cubic inch engine. The engine has been replaced with a 1955 235. Those original engines, these old trucks didn't last long. They were not the best engines. There's better engines in there now. Actually, the engine number, the number on the engine is the number on the title. I have a title for the truck and I have a title for the trailer. Trailer title 1939, truck 1937.
Okay.
But I do have a tag for it. Well, actually, I found it out of West Texas. The truck originated in La Pryor, Texas, and I bought it from a guy that I met while camping in New Mexico. He was 85 years old. He lived in Uvalde, Texas, and he's 85 years old. And he knew he was never going to complete the truck and restore it like he thought it ought to be restored. So after 4 years of begging him to sell it to me, he finally decided to sell it to me. Actually, the truck started out as just a regular truck cab and chassis, and somebody actually built the fuel tank that you see on the back of it. I don't have the real early history of the truck, other than the dealership that it was sold at in La Pryor, Texas. I think it's always been a fuel tanker truck, but the guy I bought it from happened to see it back in the 60s when it was being used, and he always loved the truck. Well, in 1974, the original owner died, and he found it years later sitting behind an old service station. Well, and him being the kind of guy he is, kind of cheap, he didn't want to spend the money to buy it, but he loved the truck, and his wife knew it. She bought it for him for Christmas and surprised him with it for Christmas in 1988, and he kept it from 1988 to 2015. When I purchased it.
Okay.
When I drove off with the truck, he actually cried. The 85-year-old man cried. But he hated to see it go because he really loved the truck. But he drove it to the John Deere place to load it. And his last drive, he brings back good memories for him just to get to drive it one last time. I drive it in parades. I drive it to and from the shows. And if I go on a drive very far, like from here, 800 miles down there, I did haul it on a trailer. Somebody asked me, did I drive it here? Yes, I drove it here, but it was just from the pasture over there. I didn't drive it to 800 miles, At 45 miles an hour, it probably took me a week, so. Yeah, it's drivable.
Okay.
The tank is all homemade.
Okay.
All the fifth wheels are all homemade. The fenders on the rear fenders on the truck is made out of 55-gallon barrel. It's made out of stuff that was readily available at that time. So back in those days, they didn't have a parts store where they could go down and buy parts. They just had to use what was readily available. And it's kind of roughly made, but it worked. And it's lasted 80 years. The truck is 80 years old this year. Well, they tell me, my dad had one. I grew up with one of these. My dad had one. We hauled putwood in it. My dad had one. We hauled hay with it. And I allow people to get up in the cab. I love for kids to climb in the cab, because if kids climb in the cab, it keeps their interest up, then the story will stay alive. The interest in old vehicles stay alive. And that's what people tell me, they grew up with one. I've had some older folks, 75, 80 years old, climb up in it. It just brings back good memories for them. As you see it, it's just like it drove in its day. Just got an old 4-speed transmission, you got to double clutch it. A lot of folks don't understand what double clutching is. But you have to double clutch it to shift gears. The mannequin has an overcoat and a hat that was found behind the seat of this truck. The overcoat and the hat was worn by the original owner. And that's what they wore back in the day. The old coat is freighted, sleeves are freighted up on it, but it's got mobile written on the coat. And I thought, how am I going to display this coat? Because it's part of the truck. It's part of the history. So I said, well, why not a mannequin? So I got this mannequin to put it on. And the coat in itself sells the store. It's part of the history of the truck. the mannequin is the best way I can find to display it.
My name is Roy Villarreal, and what we're looking at is a 1974 Kenworth W Series with a 12 V71 Detroit twin turbocharged with a 13-speed and twin screw. We do flatbed hauling, mostly lumber, sod, tomatoes right out of the field, and little reefer, plant hauling, just whatever we get our hands on. We usually just run in Florida anymore. We used to run over the road, but we just kind of decided to stay down in Florida where it's warmer. This truck originally was a glider kit, and when I got it from a friend of mine, they had an inline 855 Cummins, and we decided to put a V12 in it just because we thought we could. We found the motor there, come out of a Euclid off-road hauler. I said, well, this ought to haul something beside dirt, so we figured we'd give it a try. Well, we decided not to even take the transmission out of it, so we had to build all the motor mounts in place and build motor mounts and drill the frame and do a lot of measuring because it just really don't fit in there. But after drilling a bunch of holes, some of them twice, we made it go in there. Everything was handmade, manifolds, the turbos, all the exhaust system, and it's got 2 sets of mufflers on it because it's rather loud. So we got mufflers inside the stacks and the mufflers underneath it, try to quieten it down where you can at least think inside the truck.
This thing ain't got no compression.
Different, and they go, what is it? I go, well, it's a V12, but you know, it's an old truck, so most people don't know much about them. You know, the V12s or even the old 2-cycle Detroits. I tell people it's a 2-cycle, and they go, like a motorcycle? I said, yeah, kind of something like that. But, you know, they don't know. It's a thing of the past, but you know, they still work. So if it works, use it.